Hello everybody, I'm back again with another figure review video, and this one's gonna be kind of fun. I've been trying to hunt this sucker down for a long time now. This video is about this Chell figure here from Portal 2. And just for the fun of it, I included my little turret guy in the background of this video. Just really quickly, I can talk about him so that, you know, he does not come with this Chell figure, who, I'm sorry off the top of my head, I really don't know who made it anymore, because I got it at Indie PopCon while I was out there selling, and it was just too difficult to bring it back with its box, so I had to get rid of it, unfortunately. But I do know that the whole Valve makes Portal, the whole Valve figure set made this one. They've also since made a Wheatley and Peabody, the two robots you can play as in multiplayer mode of the same series, and the boxes look similar, so I'm assuming it's all the same set. So basically that's what the Chell is for. Comes with basically everything she's got right there, but just really quickly for fun, I'm going to talk about the little turret guy, because I have his box, yay! That, and he still fits with the Portal 2 theme, so I figure he should get a quick little video, just in case, because he makes a really cool addition to go with the Chell. Only weird thing is mine's got this odd paint job. You can see he's the bullseye version. If I show you the box here, this box is actually really enjoyable, if the focus would prefer it over Chell back there, which it doesn't seem to. I'm assuming it's just called Sentry Turret. They've since made several other sets of these things. Basically, you can get one that's either, they're all random by the way, you can get one that's either open or closed. Obviously mine is open, you know, shooting, and a bunch of weird patterns, but only one of them is the original, there we go. Only one of them up here in the top right's the original one that we recognize. Not even like a Franken turret. Maybe there's a Franken turret, another one, but anyway, I got that second one up there, and he's the open firing one, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to have that guy in the background. Just wanted to clarify that really quick before anyone gets confused and thinks that he comes with a Chell, because she does not come with anything else. This is all you get right here. I really don't want to take her portal gun out of her hand for this video, but basically I'll just show you how everything works really quick. Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to pop her off of her stand so you see how it works. It's really not a very exciting stand. It's this black plastic thinger, but it does have this grid on it, which pretty much everything in Portal, you know, has those grids and panels coming out of the wall, so it kind of fits the theme, but it's black, and you rarely see black ones, so probably would have fit a little better if it was like a gray or maybe a metallic color, but pretty hard to complain about that. The real complaint I have about the stand is that you really have no options of how to stand her. It's like you have to stand her like this. If you see any photos or anything online of people posing her, they pretty much have to stand her up just like that, and it's really boring. So I've tried doing a couple other things I could show you in some of the pictures I'll do later, where you can get her to like kneel with like one foot and try and get her to stand, but that's kind of hard based on how the joints work. My focus is being really dumb right now. Come on, focus. There we go. Well, it's a little bit better. It'll focus better when we take a look at her, which we can do right now, considering how, you know, I really don't have to show anything else. So, one real fun thing that I can show you about the Chell figure is, there, it actually does show up on the camera pretty well. It doesn't blow her out or anything. There's a sweet light inside the portal gun that will light it up blue like that. If you try and take a picture with like your phone or something, it looks terrible and you really can't show anybody, so it's a real shame, but it looks really cool when you have it set up and it's like glowing blue. It just looks awesome. It does project a little bit too, but not much. Like if I turn all the lights off right now, so you can see that? I didn't even turn all the lights off. My room light is on. That was my lamp light. So it actually does project, which is pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna get a blaring white screen again. Alright, so the gun is not actually attached. If you see her in the box, it's in the background. So I guess I can take it off. It's just kind of a pain to get it back on. Or I could just zoom in really close to show you. Her one hand here is just kind of cupped, and what you do is you just slide the hand through that. Come on, focus. Yeah, it's being stubborn right now. So basically you're going to slide the hand right through there. It's just a cupped hand, and you just slide it through the handle. It's just kind of a pain to get it in there because she'll hold it like that, but once you start tipping it the other way, she'll drop it, and it's kind of irritating. Focus is really being stupid when I get that close. I must be on manual or something. No, I'm on auto. I don't know what's up. So while she's nonchalantly holding that, I'm going to go head to toe, and I'll show you what all moves on this shell, because they picked some interesting points of articulation, and the joints are kind of strange. So you're going to get a neck joint right here. I think her head, yep, can go all the way around if you really wanted it to. Up and down, you got a decent amount of movement there. The only thing is, once you start moving a little too much, you start to expose some of the neck right there. See what I mean? Probably not. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you can kind of see that on the camera. The inside of the neck, which is really not that big of a deal, but whenever you pose her like this, I try and turn the head so that she's, you know, looking in the direction she's holding the gun or something like that. And when you start doing that, because I mean, you don't want her to just stand derf like every other picture online. You want to at least do something with her, right? I mean, she's posable. That was the idea. So, me complaining about the neck about that, but really, it's like the only directions I want this neck to go in, or the head to go in. Sometimes it exposes that joint, so you gotta be a little careful. Let's hold that back to the side again. I'm just going to show you this one arm. It's the same as the other arm, really, except the hand has a different sculpt. There's no interchangeable hands. I mean, it's not like she's going to put the gun down. This is just on a normal joint right there. It's not a ball joint. It just goes up and down this direction, but you can twist the whole shoulder a little bit. Not very much, but you can. Really not much reason to. So, I mean, I've never really needed to, other than her supporting the gun with that hand. Same deal here. This is just a pivot, except this actually does turn. I didn't even know that. It's just there's no point to do that, because the sculpt would not line up correctly with the shoulder. You know what I mean? Like broken arm. But it does move. The hand just twists. Doesn't move at all after that. So, that is at least helpful for holding the gun up. The waist is actually done really well. I was kind of impressed by this, because I thought once she stands up, you're going to be screwed and she's not going to be able to do anything. But the t-shirt, if we can see that, the white, I'll twist it really far so you can see the difference. The shirt is on its own joint up here. The blue shirt underneath that is also on its own joint between those two. So if you're in a less extreme angle to turn here, you can get it to turn really far and not make it look like it's too broken or ridiculous. Like if this was all one piece, we'd probably have a you know, a big clunky move like that. If you see what I just did, like big pieces just sticking out. But you can put this blue one as an in-between and make it look like she really is turning that far, which is pretty nice. I've actually used that a time or two. Now this shirt, the jumpsuit wrapped around her waist, this is a flexible plastic. Pretty cool. It's really, really detailed if you can see closer up with it. It's like it's got printing of a real jacket on there. It's really cool. Pretty interesting how detailed that sucker is, and these are flexible, probably because of how you might want to move the legs, which, like I said before, you kind of can't unless you get really creative with that thing. And that comes to some of the only joints I have issues with are in the legs, dealing with that stand. Because at first I was like, well, I mean, you could just choose to use one of these and then do something like a run or some other interesting pose, right? I mean, she's posable. You got to do something, right? Instead of just have it stand there, I could have just gotten a statue. But it's not the idea. So we're going to look up her skirt here for a second and try and figure out how these joints work. The leg, as far as I remember, yeah, you can see that joint right there. It will turn though, if you see, and you basically can only get it to swing out in the direction that you've turned it. And that's kind of tough because you can tell which direction is straight, like that's the knee right there. So, I mean, it's still useful enough to where you can try and turn it enough to get the bottom half of the leg to work with what you're doing, but the real issue is this knee here, because it's about as high up as I can get it to go. That's going backwards, but the real issue is going forwards. It can't at all because of that knee there. That probably should have been some sort of flexible plastic too. It's not. It's hard plastic. This is flexible. This part of the jumpsuit is not, which means that her knee or leg can't bend forward any more than it already is, which I know that's impossible, but the thing is, when you move the legs, they kind of only spread. They don't, they can't really go forward and back without doing something really weird, and it's kind of hard to do that. See what I just did? Like, you basically have to twist it, and then this doesn't really twist. So it's pretty hard to get the leg, like you can get one leg to go back like you're running, but the other one will never go forward enough. You know what I mean? So it's like she's either falling down or something is wrong. But that's really the only challenge with getting her to do anything interesting, is because the leg is a little difficult. Based on how the hip joint is. It's really the hip joint that's the problem. I was kind of blaming it on the knee. It's really the hip joint because, I mean, it'll pivot. It's got a joint, but I feel like the joints are either going the wrong way, or we need two. One where that would go out and one that would go backward and forward, which we do not have. I do want to point out, though, how awesome the long fall boots are. They're in the game, this is using a flexible plastic here, once again, and in the game these are basically just to keep Chell from falling 10 stories and killing herself. She'll be able to withstand any jump with this aperture technology. And what they did was they used this flexible plastic so that basically when she's on the stand, it will squish up against the floor, and she's always kind of standing on that, which is kind of cool. So those boots look really nice. There's really no articulation in them at all. It's just nice detail with the flexible plastic again. Actually, it's not really that flexible stuff. It's just kind of, it might be the same hard plastic, but it's so thin that, you know, it basically is flexible to meet the needs to whatever she's going to be standing on. The gun, most of the time, just because you can obviously see she can't really hold it with one arm without it just toppling over. That's what you use the other arm for. It's just kind of cupping it like that, and then basically this is your real pose with Chell, and that's kind of all you can get. But you know, how picky can you get? That's really all you wanted out of it, right? So the LED is an awesome feature. The gun itself is done really well. These little pieces are probably that same thickness of plastic down there. The wires, don't worry about them. That's not actually powering the LED. That's all inside the gun. So those are really thin plastic. These are thin plastic. The gun itself, you probably can't see it. You can actually see down the barrel of it, if you can call that the barrel. Yeah, shoot, it's never going to focus on that, but it's got like all the little details that you've seen. I guess you don't ever see that in the game, but you do see it in replicas that they build, where it's got like all the little lines sticking out through it. It's really detailed, really awesome. You can see the Aperture logo is printed on it. It looks super detailed. There's a bunch of stuff on the bottom, but obviously that's like the button to turn it on and off, which was right there. And it's also printed on her shirt, as we've obviously seen. So that's Chell. Really not too much to her. Other than that, like I said, I got her at Indie PopCon while I was out there selling some of my comics. And, you know, I was really trying to find her at a couple other places. I was mainly looking at like Toys R Us because they were selling those Valve figures for a while, and I just could not find her anymore. For some reason, I don't know why, they just like stopped carrying this Chell. And it was kind of driving me nuts because I couldn't find her anymore. And everything online, she ended up being like $20 minimum to get, and I think she was like 22 list. I don't remember. But, you know, add shipping online as well, and suddenly you're paying more for it, when I could have just picked it up that one time I saw it at Toys R Us and thought, eh, I'll hang off. But then I never saw it again. So, lucky me, I actually find this at Indie PopCon, like I said, and guy didn't really know how much to charge for it, so he said, hey, is $12 good? And here's me thinking, yeah, that's half what it's worth. I didn't tell him that, but I was like, oh yeah, sure. So that's how I ended up getting this shell. Pretty awesome, pretty fun, and I had the turret beforehand, so it looks really cool to pose them together, even though in actuality it'd be kind of frightening, and Chell would more than likely get some bullets in her legs. But anyway, wanted to make at least a short video on Chell because this is a really cool figure for really, really cheap. A lot of the figures I get, you have to spend a lot of money to get some really cool, really good posable figures, and though Chell is posable, you can't do much with her, but for what you pay, you really can't complain for how awesome she still is with the LED feature and all the really cool detail, and the fact that you really don't need to pose Chell that much. So, pretty awesome, and I think it's time to take some final photos and stuff, and see the final reviews for this Chell figure. And now for some final thoughts on the Chell figure from Valve. Well, first of all, I really want to point out that to pose this figure correctly, you've really got to get creative of what you can do with the limitations, especially in those hip joints, and what you actually have with that stand. But when you get her to do something pretty cool, like some of these shots I actually got some pretty interesting stuff out of the figure, it's really worth it because she really doesn't cost that much money, and that's pretty sweet. So I think it was a really good buy, especially for what I ended up finding her for. It was really fun, really lucky. She also looks really cool if you pose her with one of those turret figures, because they're pretty much in scale with each other, so that's pretty awesome. So I would definitely recommend this Chell if you're into Portal. If you've watched this far in the video, you should really just go buy it. It's not that much money, honestly. Even if you have to get it online for like the extra 10 for what I didn't spend, that's seriously still a great deal, considering how a lot of the figures I review are really like 2 to 3 times this expensive, and it's really a great deal for what you're getting for this Chell. So I would recommend the Chell for anybody. The detail's great, the LED is awesome, and it's just really surprising how great this figure is for how cheap it really is. So I would suggest you pick this figure up if you ever get the chance. So remember to like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next figure review.